All right, welcome back to the podcast. Today I have with me Bethany Forest. Bethany is the founder of Heal Yoga and a retreat facilitator who designs experiences that help people reset, reflect, and build resilience in a rapidly changing world. A multi-business entrepreneur, she brings a grounded, corporate relevant perspective to wellness, drawing on her experience creating and exiting a natural skincare brand and running a real estate photography company. Bethany guides individuals and groups through mindful challenge, self inquiry, and outdoor practices that strengthen confidence, deepen connection, and support emotional and nervous system regulation. Welcome to the pod, Bethany. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well. How are you today?
Good. So let's jump in and kind of talk about COVID. I know COVID impacted your business. What happened
Mhm.
during COVID and how did you go from doing A to doing B? And talk about that transition a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. I actually opened my yoga studio in November of 2018. So, right about the time we were starting to get some good momentum with our studio classes, the pandemic hit. So, that was a little bit of a challenge. We had to close our doors. And it was about that time I got together with all of my instructors, all my staff, and we had a discussion about who we were as individuals and who we were as instructors and who we wanted to be and where we saw ourselves going. And determined that every single one of us loved being outside.
Mm,
And so we started to pivot through that in offering yoga outdoors. And from there, naturally, it just kind of moved into a retreat space. And we decided to keep our studio closed. And now we just host retreats exclusively. So it's been kind of a wild journey, but a really fun one. And I think one that's more aligned with who we are as people.
cool. So what I like about the story is that it started off as a studio and transitioned to retreats. And could you talk a little bit about that conversation that took place and how was it a natural progression for you from going to having a brick and mortar space to a kind of more service oriented, abstract business, so to speak, or product?
Right, right. Yeah. So I think that for me, I always I'm going to back up a little bit. So I always wanted to have a studio space. Even when I was creating my skincare line back then, I envisioned having a space for both. So I would have the skincare in one spot, and then I had the studio attached to that. And that was my vision, and that was what was always kind of in the back of my mind as I was building these businesses. And so it was kind of hard to walk away from that. Um, but I do think that one of my strengths as an entrepreneur is the ability to pivot. And so I recognized the need for that, and I started to sort of take a look at that a little bit deeper in, okay, well, if I can't do yoga in the studio, where can I do yoga, and what do I have to offer? And I had done I participated as an instructor in a yoga teacher training, and I loved the retreat aspect of that. I thought it was so unique and it's just so powerful when you get a bunch of people together and they're all there for the same purpose and they want to grow and they want to learn. It sort of like breaks open this space inside of you that you didn't know was there. And so that was really appealing to me. And I decided that I wanted to host a retreat. Um, the first retreat I hosted was, I mean, I look back and it was kind of a mess. I mean, we pulled it off. It was great. Everything went well, but I learned a lot, and I came away from that exhausted, but also feeling very, very much like I'd found my calling. It energized me in a way that being in a studio didn't. And so I knew that that was something that I wanted to pursue.
Got it. And you said there were some learnings in the first retreat. What were those?
Well, first of all, I didn't get paid. I didn't charge enough. So,
Charge whatever
um,
you can in the beginning to just to get the momentum going.
right.
You can always increase the charge.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of interesting. And I have this photo. It was me and two other instructors that hosted this retreat. And at the very end, we had a champagne toast, and we were like, we did it. We pulled it off. This was amazing. And I love looking back at that photo because it's just one of those things where it was like, yeah, this was like a momentous feat that we just pulled off, and I was so proud of how far we'd come. Um, the challenges, I think, first of all, this is kind of funny. We live in the mountains of Utah, and we had chosen this hunting lodge for our yoga
Okay.
retreat. So as we're going in, there's animals mounted all over the
Oh
walls.
my
It's
goodness.
like haunting. And so we went in there and we were actually taking things down because we were like, I don't know if this is the vibe we're
Did you not
trying
do
to
a
sell.
site visit before? Like, isn't that
Yeah, I mean, we had, but for some reason, like when we were just in those initial planning stages, it didn't occur to us until we got on site and we're bringing in this energy of what we want to facilitate, right? And there's dead animals all over the walls, which, I mean, it's great for a hunting lodge, not so great for a yoga space. But it worked out actually. Um, there's the lodge was set up wonderfully. Yeah, I mean, we had a great time and everything actually went really smoothly. We got some really awesome reviews, and I think that it was a great learning experience because we just it felt like we were flying by the seat of our pants the entire time. But that didn't translate into the guest experience. And so I think that was a really big eye opener for me.
so? Um, since then, what have you applied in your retreats going forward that you're doing a little differently?
So the very first thing that I took out of that is I made a sort of a retreat. I'm a spreadsheet girl. It's a retreat spreadsheet, which really just it allows me to copy and paste. And where I have now, I've moved into some of my staff are hosting their own retreats. It's a really great template for them to use as far as okay, here's everything that goes into a retreat. Here's how you calculate your costs. Here's how you calculate what you need to be charging. And I think that getting that nailed down was probably the biggest thing that I took away from that first retreat because it was just kind of like, oh, well, we don't really know what we're doing. We don't know what to expect. So let's just kind of see how it goes. But having a system, I think, something that you can copy and paste and just kind of obviously each retreat you do is going to be different and you're going to have different offerings and you're going to have different energy, different people, but the basis of it remains the same.
And when you're creating your retreat, what kind of profit margin are you looking to have?
Um, like now or then?
Well, now, back then it was zero.
Right, right. Yeah, so I mean, but it's been this sort of slow progression. And so now we're aiming I don't really have like a solid PM so to speak. But the way that I calculate them, if they are completely full, we will have 100%. Does that make sense?
You would have a full return.
Yeah.
And then how much on top of that would you want to make? Would you want to make like 20% or 30%? What do you think is realistic?
I would say
Or do you just aim
20%.
to break even and then have return customers?
So the break even point for me actually comes in when we're half full. So that's all costs
Okay,
are
so you're
covered.
trying to double.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then so this podcast is about retreat organizing. It's for retreat leaders, wannabe retreat leaders. Um, how what is a yoga retreat? What does that look like? Are you just in down dog for 3 days? I mean, what are we talking about here?
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because I think that in I'll just say Western culture for lack of better word, it is very physical, right? We see the very oh, we're gonna be doing sun salutations and down dog and different asanas for an hour and a half, and we're gonna feel great afterwards. And that's sort of how I got into it. I came into yoga as I think I was in my early 20s. I was in college looking for something to do. And it spoke to me very deeply, actually. It was interesting because I was doing these physical postures, but I was feeling something change within me. And that's what made me sort of start to consider becoming an instructor myself and learning more about the yoga philosophy. And so that journey led me into uh, I guess I might be making this a little bit longer of an explanation than it needs to be, but yoga for me is more philosophical, it's more spiritual, but it's not that for everybody. And my job as an instructor is to sort of create this space or container for people to come in and to explore whatever that journey looks like for them. So, if they're looking for a little more stillness in their life, a little stress relief, if they're looking for more meditation, if they're looking for more asana, they're going to find it. Um, a yoga retreat is designed to take you a little bit deeper in your practice, whatever that looks like for you. That being said, heel yoga is a little bit different. Um, I have, I've had a really long and arduous health journey myself, and having a good relationship with my body has been difficult. And so when I started heel yoga, it was actually after a, a surgery that left me with a disability. And at that point, I decided I wanted to do more than just offer a yoga class. I want to help people heal. I want to help them develop a better relationship with their body, a better relationship interpersonally with people in their life or lives. And then I also want to help people um, create ripples that go out into the world, right? We have such a tumultuous climate that we live in. And I think that especially with social media, we're pretty separate. We're not having those really deep, meaningful connections. Um, and I think that that is one of the biggest things in any retreat space that people are finding is that deep and meaningful connection. And we do the same thing. We bring a bunch of strangers together. They don't know each other, and within 3 or 4 days, they've created these amazing experiences together and had these healing moments together, and they're leaving with lifelong friends. We've had complete strangers come to one of our yoga retreats, and then they scheduled yoga retreats together after that. And I just love seeing that. I love seeing complete
That's cool.
strangers come together, and yeah, they go on a little journey, and it is what they make of it. They can choose, okay, I'm going to work on myself, or I just really want to hike a slot canyon. I've never done that. It terrifies me. I'm going to go do it with a bunch of women. Let's get it done. So it's just kind of offering different experiences for people to explore. I talk about the edge of discomfort a lot, just getting outside their comfort zone and finding what amazing things lay on the other side of that.
So fantastic breakdown of the goals. Walk me through the program. What happens every day?
Mhm.
And just, not, we don't need the full kind of hour by hour, but generally speaking, how do you break down your days and what happens during the retreats?
Sure. So the first thing we do actually is a staff day, where we all come in as staff the day before.
Okay.
Since we don't have a retreat center, we like to come together the day before. That gives us time to um, arrange ourselves and to arrange the space how we like it. We typically do all of the food ourselves, so we'll do all of our meal prep that day as well, and then we just have time to be together as staff. The next day, typically the opening day, we don't usually start our programming until like 4, 5, 6 p.m. usually. And the way that I structure that is I kind of just have like an open space for people to come into. We welcome them, show them their room, kind of create sort of a container of safety, because it's very scary to make those first steps. We've had people tell us that they drove all the way in and then drove back out and then drove back in, because it's so scary just to walk through that door into the unknown. And so we try to foster a really kind of casual atmosphere where they can come sit at a group table. We've got activities for them to do, discussion, things like that. They can start introducing themselves. If they want to stay in their rooms, they can. We do like a buffet dinner, so it's very, again, casual and non-committal. And then um, for the opening, um, I usually do a little bit of gentle movement. It's not usually a big yoga practice. It's more like yin yoga. with some somatic movement just to kind of shake off the excess of travel, excess nerves, and allow them to sort of settle into the space. And then we do a getting to know you activity, and then we'll have retreat expectations. And I think the expectations are really important. It kind of lets people know, okay, this is what you can expect from us, and here's what we expect from you. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much all we do that first day. And then it just kind of depends on if I'm doing like a 3 or 4 or 5 day retreat. But we typically will we have 1 or 2, sometimes 3 or 4 workshops where we pick different subjects. It really just kind of depends on where we're at with the retreat and what the theme is. But they typically will delve into some modality of healing. We do chakra workshops, we do asana workshops. So we'll do posture clinics, and just kind of gives people a deeper understanding of not only the yoga asana, but how their bodies move, because every body is different. And so it's nice to have that deeper one-on-one time or in a class setting where you can really explore that. Um, we have had some wonderful discussions in workshops relating to all sorts of things. So we it's one of I think one of the most impactful ones that we've done as women was just talking about the throat chakra and how we've been silenced, or how we feel we've been silenced. That was one of the coolest discussions I've ever been a part of, and really empowering for women to say, okay, this is like when I feel like I'm not heard. So it kind of just ranges. We've got all sorts of stuff, and then well, if we're doing a 5 day retreat, we do 2 workshop days, and then we'll have 1 adventure day in the middle. So we kind of allow people to come into this space and start to have they're starting to talk about things that are uncomfortable. They're starting to bond with each other. And then we take them out into the backcountry of usually southern Utah, because that's very appealing to people. I love the desert. And in October, we usually go to Goblin Valley. So what I usually do is we start out with a barefoot hike, just allowing people to connect back to the earth. And it's kind of a fun experience just to, walk barefoot through the desert. It's not like awesome. You have to watch where you're stepping. There's a lot of pokey things out there, but it's a really great experience, and it feels really nice to walk on the sandstone. So we'll do that, and then we do yoga among the goblins, and then we hike. I think it probably is the most dangerous slot canyon in all of Utah. So um,
Incredible.
that one is, yeah, it's been interesting. People who didn't think they were claustrophobic discovering that they are, through this process. Or, okay, what happens if it does start raining? I don't let that happen. I mean, I can't control the sky, but I do a lot of real intense prep beforehand to make sure that the conditions are as safe as they can possibly be. But it is interesting to watch people experience being in a slot canyon, a really deep and narrow slot canyon, for, I think we're in there for about 3 or 4 hours usually. And just, yeah, it's a great experience. And yeah, that's pretty much how we do our retreats. So it's kind of like we sprinkle those workshops alongside the outdoor activities.
Sounds incredible. Um, so some rapid fire questions here. How many people go to a retreat, one of your retreats, would you say?
We typically have anywhere between 12 to 23,
Oh,
I
wow.
would say.
Okay.
hmm
Um, and then how many retreats do you do a year?
We do 2 big ones, and then we sprinkle in a few mini retreats here and there. I think for 2026, we've got like 7 or 8 lined up,
Wow.
but with two big ones and then a bunch of smaller ones.
Well, I think we talked about coming to Assemble Boise, which would be absolutely awesome to have you, and
Yeah.
we can replicate a lot of what you just talked about. So you clearly have a big following. How do you find people, and what's your advice to people who are looking to, do these retreats, but they can't find the people?
Hmm. That's that is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's honestly, I feel like it's one that I struggle with every year too. I think the biggest things that have helped me the most is just knowing what my particular demographics habits are. They typically book retreats. I would say my biggest booking window is right after Christmas until about mid to the end of January. And then again within 30 days, which is hard for us as retreat
Mm,
managers
short lead
because,
time.
yeah, we need that lead time to be able to plan. And so that has been a difficult thing for me, but I do cut it off about 30 days out. Sometimes I'll go within that 2-week period, but it's pretty stressful. Don't recommend it. But I I have used a third party booking platform and I've liked that because it has gotten people from outside of my sort of like local window. I at first when I first started hosting retreats, I was getting a lot of people from Utah, Colorado, sometimes Arizona, and using a third party platform kind of opened that up. I get a lot of people from the East Coast. Occasional,
They take such a big commission though, at 30%.
yeah, they do. And I mean, that's kind of why I'm trying to move away from it. I've actually been working really hard on my own website, on my SEO, and getting that nice and solid. And I've got a, I don't know, this is my first year not using a third party booking platform, so we'll see how it goes. But um, I do have repeat customers as well. So there's not a lot of them, but I do have a handful that every time I offer something new, they sign up for it. So that's kind of nice too, because I feel like that's a huge compliment when you're sort of casting this wide net and you get people coming back. That's really
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome.
Maybe try to get that like 80/20 or 70/30
Hmm.
of repeat and or
Hmm.
new and repeat. Well, this has been exceptionally enlightening. Any other thoughts or comments about retreats or facilitation in general?
I don't know. I think for those of us that do it, we have a true passion for it. I mean, would you agree with that? It doesn't feel like work.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I
it
mean,
does.
so I think I think I'd do a killer job planning retreats. I moderate a few of my forums in YPO, and I'm pretty good at it. But I don't really plan retreats outside of that. Um, and for me, it's all about creating a sense of belonging, which is kind of what you alluded to
Mhm.
in retreats.
Mhm.
And once you have a sense of belonging, that unlocks community, and once it unlocks community, that unlocks safety, and once you unlock safety, you unlock engagement, and then you can get that platform that we all want in order to have a really good retreat or um a really good group of people that can trust each other. So
Mhm.
but yeah, this has been an awesome conversation. I really appreciate it. I learned a lot, and um I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.